Hey, Gyasi, are all the filmmakers going to be on the Q&A? Can you hear me?
No.
Okay, it's just you and
Fallon.
Fallon? Okay, the producer. All right, cool.
All right. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. My name is Gyasi. Many of you probably know me. This screening is majority for family and friends, but I decided to open it up to the public and allow anyone and everyone to see it. So thank you for coming out and supporting. I hope you guys are doing well. You can type in the chat how you're feeling. But yeah, so today, as many of us probably know, is Emmett Till's birthday. He would have been 79 years old. And today, throughout this event, we would like to acknowledge his birth, his life, and his legacy. And so now we will have a libation led by Baba Taharka in order to give energy, insight, and praise to the films you're about to see, and acknowledge where we came from in our past. So thank you guys for coming out, and we're gonna get started.
Can you unmute the other one? The creator, known by many names, and who Umari, the great king. Gyasi. That's right. We pour libation to the witness of creation, pour libation to the sun, to the moon, stars, pour libation to all of the divinities that sit at the right hand and the left hand of the creator. Pour libation to the witness of creation, to the first and second disciples of the Umari, Gyasi. Pour libation to all of the ancestors of our houses, Gyasi. Pour libation to the fire, to the water, to Ileaye, to the wind. Pour libation to all the elements. Pour libation to Baba, Yehu. Pour libation to the ancestors that we remember, that we hold in great esteem, including those ancestors that have inspired this event today. We call out the name of Emmett Till. Call out the names of the ancestors. Call their names. Harriet Tubman, Denmark Vesey. Call their names. Toussaint Louverture, Stephen Biko. We call the names of the ancestors of our own family lineage, those whose shoulders we stand on, those who continue to perpetuate and give us energy to our own destiny, my family lineages. Call the name of my mother, Evelyn Hargrave. Call out their names. Ashe. Call their names. Ashe. Call their names. Ashe. We honor those whose names have been forgotten. We call those names whose names are not remembered. We honor all of those ancestors that have been lost to memory and history, but they remain with us forever in our hearts and in our minds and continue to give us the strength and energy and the wisdom to keep us moving forward as a people. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Okay, so to start the event, we would like to have a lineup of short films made by and in Baltimore, by Baltimore filmmakers in Baltimore. And so the first film that will be shown is Mirrors by Greg Lewis.
We're going to turn to Baltimore now. We have live pictures coming in, and you can see we have, it appears that perhaps arrests are being made.
Y'all believe in, y'all believe in Christianity?
Cause I come from these streets. I grew up here. This where I'm from. I'm stopping another black brother from getting hurt. Another black brother from not going to jail. There's so many ways to throw away your life out here. I'm just trying to stop that.
We want to make sure we focus so we don't become a statistic, right?
Yes.
Clapping, stomping, military movement, spoken word.
We are the show. Take a hit.
When I see broken up buildings and stuff, I get kind of sad.
How to be respectful, how to stay focused, be positive.
It's no saying you did this right or wrong.
Give them some hugs.
It's just engaging our young brothers, all right? With love.
Because that's what they need.
You can be whatever you want to be when you grow up. I don't want you to get discouraged about what you're saying or the type of environment that we're living in. I want you to stick to your dreams and chase it and go follow it. You can be whatever that you want to. Whatever you want to be, whatever you want to become, if that's what you want to do, go do it.
This thing in my chest. It beats, it twists, flips me upside down. Sometimes it just has me down. So down the sky and the ground look the same. I can hear and feel every doubt, every worry. My mother always told me to be careful, but she didn't say anything about the war inside of me. Those twists and turns, those holes I keep falling in, those holes I keep digging. That voice that told me I will only ever be and will only ever have what I've already seen. That said I was a burden, born with an expiration date that makes a trial out of a single experience. I release you. 'Cause who I really am and not who I think I am is powerful. 'Cause who I really am and not who you think I am scares you. 'Cause who I really am is ever unfolding, ever becoming, ever stepping into my power, can ignite an eclipse with the wind in her hips, is still getting used to the sound of my own voice, still has the heart of a child, is still growing, embracing the universe in me, and releasing those fears that were never mine. See, 'cause I'm a warrior. Finding that the mightiest of giants have only brought smoke and mirrors to batter, so there is no battle. I don't have to fight. Be. What do you mean just be? Like who I am? To relax my mind and get it out of the driver's seat, recognizing the joys in this life. Remembering that smile I caught was a reflection of my own. That beauty I see is a reflection of my own. I have always existed. Will always. You hear me? We can't die. Infinitely connected and infinitely loved, said I.
Colin, whatever your mother said to you between last week and this week is working, man. You're walking around this community smiling, excited. You're encouraged. I see your potential, man. Whatever you have in your heart, you can accomplish it. Whatever you make up your mind to do, you can do it, young man. I believe in you. So don't give your mother a hard way to go. Many of us, we learned the hard way, man. We gave our moms and the people in the community a hard way to go because we didn't know any better. But you hold the keys to change, Colin. You and your friends and your generation, you guys make all the difference in Baltimore. Because I've seen this community go to hell and come back and go back again. You can stop it. How do you want Baltimore to look? How do you want Baltimore to feel? Whatever you see Baltimore as, you can make it become that. You have those keys. You have the authority to change, man. So make that change. Okay?
What's a mirror? A surface that reflects a clear image, authentic to reality, can never be misrepresented. Here's where we find truth. A space to become familiar with our best qualities, and the opportunity to repair any damages. They say being a champion is a state of mind, and a true fighter wins battles no one knows anything about. On a journey to experience life's best gifts, traveling together cannot be compromised. Sometimes we forget our true purpose. Fortunately, there's always a mirror, not too far, reminding us of who we are.
What do you know of a black girl's country? Where the faucets bleed oceans, so we bathe in God and pray to our own reflections. A black girl's country, where the sky is an indigo quilt hemmed and sewn by our grandmother's tired hands. And we talk with language in our hands and trumpets in our throats, shamelessly loud, shouting our names into an eternal echo. And we smile and the sun bows to us. And with moonlit teeth and dimples deeper than Egyptian blood, we laugh. And every black girl's laugh is an anthem. A Nina, a Billy, a blues. A soft hum hissing, honey kissing baby hairs. Every promise is a silk scarf tying itself into a crown. And even our anger is so beautiful. In a black girl's country, an angry black girl sounds like 1,000 waterfalls rushing towards us to silence our storms, to wash our feet when we are tired from dancing. In a black girl's country, breasts and bellies and hips are kingdoms and temples and thrones, and fatherhood is fresh fruit at sunrise. Never fermented or beat, abused mothers are becoming and born from soil, holding us up and down, opening our souls without fear. Finally, we are here. We are home. Somebody sing a black girl song. She's been dead so long, closed in silence so long. Somebody sing a black girl song. Sing her infinite beauty. Let her be born in a black girl's country.
Yeah, listen. This time is all that we get. Never thinking for a moment that your time could be next. Got my people fighting demons, whole community stress. They saying Black Lives Matter, who they trying to convict? Call police, policemen don't like that melanin, so you might see them spray. This the world we still living in if you can't see the day. I was in my mind and I thought that I could see a way with mankind could be a peaceful race, a peaceful place, a way to find God without a speech to say amazing grace. I need to breathe this day, they saying I can't breathe and need to rearrange, it's crazy.
We can breathe.
Yeah.
We are breathing. We're not zombies.
Yeah.
We can breathe.
Breathe easy.
these is crazy times. I've been in and out the news, I'm like a day behind. Blessed for moments to stabilize. Stressed off of orders to stay inside. World out of order from blatant lies. Truth weigh heavy on a vacant mind. Illusions raping the naked eye. Ancestors got ancient ties. All of my niggas was gathered round, we was making fire. Police is taking lives. Demons in faint the sky. They scheming to erase the vibe, trying to bleed us and paint the sky. Take it as sacred signs. It's real shit, this ain't a sad song. Slay a devil with this mask on. It won't last long.
This is just the beginning. This is gonna go on all summer.
Yo, looking for the answers, always seek but never find. Sick of the excuses that we heard too many times. Taught that your existence as a person is a crime. The system isn't broken, it's just working by design. And it's feeling like it's target practice. With the rage inside, I'm feeling like that target's practice. Let Babylon burn, may it be lost in ashes. I don't want a shot in casket for a stop in traffic. Feel like I'm lost in madness. Dealing with cops harassing is just a survival tactic. Racism in the flag and stitched in every line of fabric. They keep the history hidden and then denied in classes, keeping us lost and find a lie to supply the masses. There are no blue lives, simply updated slave patrols. Maybe wear a mask over the face that I'm afraid to show. Melanated never made it easy, but it made me grow. Ancestors' wildest dreams is trying to make it home.
The laws of manifestation on your side daily. What you choose to do is what you choose to do. Everybody plays a part in this great symphony musical called life.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you for watching those 3 amazing films to start off the event. Now, what you all are probably waiting for and wanting to see is my film. So it's time to watch Save the Manchilds, For They Shall Inherit the Earth by me. And thank you for coming, appreciate it, and I love you guys. So let's get started. Shawn, you can join now. What do you guys think of the film?
They were great. I love all of them. Yours, I've seen bits and pieces of yours before, Gyasi, but and I love it. I love all the films, man. Great creation. Great curation.
Yeah, I think it was a good way to the. All right, y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Ready when you are.
All right, so I'm going to do a brief introduction of both of our panelists. We have the moderator, Shawn Peters, the extraordinary and cinematographer. He inspires a lot of my work and my practice in filmmaking, and just an amazing overall person and inspiration, someone I look up to. So I'm pleased to have him join us and facilitate the discussion between me and my producer. And yeah, so the other person is Fallon Beckham, the producer for my film. Equally amazing, and wouldn't have been able to do this project without her. I pitched the project and she was sold immediately and was able to gather me some funds. And so, yeah, that's how the film was born. And thank you guys. We can get started.
Well, I'd like to just get started by asking some questions right off the bat, Gyasi. One, tell me like about the films that you guys curated for the opening.
Okay.
How'd you source those films? Do you know those filmmakers? I know you told me they were all Baltimore-based. Tell me a bit about those filmmakers.
Yeah, so the first film was Manchilds by Greg Lewis. I saw the film promoted on social media, and I was immediately sold. And I went to the in-person screening at the Motor House, and I got to see the film twice, and I loved it. The way that he used the sound, original Baltimore club music, and mixed it with African super dance, music and dance, and the way that the boy navigated through Baltimore and discovered all the arts. It was beautifully shot by my man, Aaron. So I'll definitely have to include this film. And then the other film, the one that was played after, was A Black Girl's Country by Nia June. Beautifully shot as well by Kirby Griffin. But Nia June, she's a poet and actually a teacher to me. But beautiful film, great imagery, great words, thoughts, and ideas that were shown in that film. So I immediately gravitated to it. And the last one I stumbled upon because originally a film I wanted to show, I wasn't able to just because of copyright. And so I ended up showing that film that was passed over to me by another one of my mentors, Bashi Rose, who actually did the score for the film. He was part of facilitating and in charge of all that. So he's into music. So that was the music video. So he sent that over to me, and I love the way the ideas that were inside that film. So I decided to show it and include it. Yeah, all of them were Baltimore based.
Yeah, it's great. They're all amazingly poetic. They're all realized. They're all realized very well. Like you said, the photography is beautiful, but also just beyond that, there's a non-linear sort of African way of telling stories. It's very black. Just sort of more of an unseen. There are things in that are suggested that are seen and unseen, which is very African, which I love. So, man, your film, I mean, that's a heavy title, man. Save the man-childs, for they shall inherit the earth. That's heavy.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that title first off, man. What inspired the title?
Well, that was something that came about because I was kind of stuck, and I knew at first that I wanted to include Save the Man-Child, but I didn't know where to go from there. And so I did some Googling, some research, and I found For They Shall Inherit the Earth. That was kind of from the Bible. And so I kind of flipped it and added my own language and authenticity to it. But I thought it was really interesting because in the film, you see the power dynamics. The boys are sort of suppressed by the white bodies. but they're the ones that should be inheriting us. They have the power. They have the dominance. And so it's really about how you interpret it. But that title came about just from really introspection and trying to find something that fit. And that was the one thing that really fit, because we went through a lot of titles, but that's the only one that kind of stuck, even though it's somewhat long.
Well, I'm gonna stay on you, Gyasi, for now, and I'm gonna get on to Fallon. But I really wanted you to talk a little bit about sort of, I know you're very young, obviously, right? And so I wanted to kind of get to, how film came to you, or you came to film, and sort of what was that process for you? It seems like, it's a two-part question, but it also seems like from the creation of the films that you're interested in, this seems to be a through line of what you like and what you're attracted to in terms of storytelling and how storytelling can be done. So talk about sort of how film was introduced to you, or how you met it and how it met you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My introduction through film was relatively recent. I made my first film in 9th grade for an assignment in history class. I was assigned to make a film about the Harlem Renaissance, and I stumbled upon the great pioneer filmmaker, Oscar Micheaux. And so from there, I made sort of a silent film to emulate his style and his technique and his modalities. And that's when I really realized that film is something I was really interested in. I used to take pictures all the time, but there was something about the moving image, and I really gravitated to that. And so from there, actually, when I saw the film that you worked on, As Told to GD by Thyself, that's when I started making a film a week. And that's really when I started to get into experimentation and starting to develop my craft and my profession. Because a lot of my films, they're on Vimeo, but they were made in a short span of like a couple days. And I really started to understand, what I can do with a camera and the stories I can tell through that medium. But I've always been interested in watching films, like your films, and anything else. That's just how I grew up. So it was just something that felt natural. And yeah, I guess that somewhat sums up the question. But there's a lot more that went into it. But that was the main immediate spark, was making that first film.
That felt like a very thorough and great answer. I love the Oscar Micheaux that you got you came into making films through watching Oscar Micheaux and making silent film. I think that's amazing. That's an amazing way to start, I think. Yeah. I guess my next question would be for Fallon. I'd like to know more about you and what you're doing. I'm your producer, young producer, and I'd like to know what attracted you to producing as opposed to something else.
Great question. So I'm Fallon Beckham. For those of you who don't know, I am a filmmaker, originally from East Baltimore and Columbia, Maryland. And actually, producing is not my favorite thing to do. I just know how to do it. And as far as, Gyasi's film, his father actually introduced me to Gyasi. I am working on a project now in Baltimore about food and food access. And he was telling me, oh, I have a son and he makes films and you should check him out. And I was just thinking, yeah, okay. So after a couple conversations with Denzel, he mentioned Gyasi to me again. And he said, well, he'll text you or he'll get in touch with you about his project. So he did. And I think we arranged a meeting the very next day. He texted me, we arranged a meeting the very next day. And I had initially gone into the meeting thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to steer him in the right direction, tell him, okay, you're probably a shoo-in for Saul Zantz, which is a incubator in Baltimore that provides young visionaries with an opportunity to create films. But when I was driving, I think we had an 8 a.m. meeting, and I was driving up Howard Street, and I see this kid riding his bike in 80-degree weather in July to make our meeting. Immediately, I'm thinking, whoa, he's totally different from any other Baltimore kid I've met or had an interaction with, because most of those kids would say, I'm not doing that. I'm not going there for a meeting. And he was going to meet with me before he went to his internship with the Maryland Film Festival. So in the process of our talking, I was trying my rehearsed lines about him going towards Saul Zantz and the Incubator Project. And he says, well, I want to use this film for college. And when he said that to me, I said, okay, well, let's talk. And he started breaking the film down for me and the vision for me. And I'm thinking, whoa, this kid is 17. His parents really put a lot of information in him that a lot of kids who are 17 from Baltimore don't have. And the experiences that he's had at a young age are vastly different, which is why I just jumped on the project and I said, okay, well, let me see what I can do. I'm trying to find some money. And I guess the rest is history.
I love that. I love that you believed in the young brother and that you followed through, to help him make his film. And I know as a community, I'm a part of his extended community. And as a community, we're very proud of him, just in general, but just not just as a filmmaker, but as a human being, very proud of him. So the next question is for you, Gyasi, just in terms of specifically about your film. Obviously, it's obvious that there's a lot of symbolism, and it seems like color is a big part of that symbolism, and especially the veiled woman in the red dress with the gold mask. I could probably extrapolate some traditional African religion symbology there, but tell me what you were going for.
Well, for me, it was like creating a dichotomy between her as a caregiver, but also a person of ownership so the white bodies for me are like sort of symbolizing a structure of whiteness or white supremacy. And so she's at the same time as caring for these young men, whispering to them, facilitating them, guiding them, she's also at the same time in charge of this system. And so I was trying to figure out a way to mesh those two together, and try to find a way to draw the line between working within a system, but also helping your own kind, if that makes sense. I don't think there was necessarily any intentional references or inspiration for her as a character, but it really came down to the way we built her up. So her costume was really something that me and Fallon were interested in, and also the emblems on her face, the jewelry. But really, I wouldn't necessarily say that she represents a certain idea, concept, or notion. It's really up to the viewer's interpretation, because you could take it a lot of different ways. But it's really, I think for me, she's like that gateway, that meshing of being within the structure, the system, and working for it, but at the same time finding ways to help those you love and guiding them. Because at the end, when the last boy left, she was still there waiting while everyone else was gone. And so I think that she kind of is a motherly figure for those that don't have that support, because they're in a simulation that forces them to fight each other and combat one another.
That's powerful. You want to speak on that, Fallon, as well?
Yeah, she probably was that.
No, well, when we first started working on the project, I think one of the main ideas he conveyed to me was that there are these young bodies who are being moved by this white consciousness. And he really made a point to explain to me how important it was for these white figures to have no faces and to just be these forces, these unknown forces of whiteness that kind of, whether we realize it or not, as Black people, we are influenced by it. And these young men being taken from their neighborhoods, one of them fought back vigorously and the others were handcuffed. And there was one who kind of relaxed and went into knowing, okay, I'm about to be captured here. And there's a symbolism of slavery that Gyasi spoke about, which was also really powerful. There was a scene that was cut from the film, and I asked him when we were driving that van, I asked him, how do you want these bodies stacked up? Are they like how police put them in a paddy wagon? And he says, no, I want their bodies tight and laid side by side like slaves on a ship. And still, when I recall our conversation, he was 17 years old when we were having these conversations. And for him to be able to process how much slavery, this white consciousness has impacted Black men in America, Black men in Baltimore, it's really powerful. And again, I know you get upset with me when I say this, but a lot of it is how he was reared. A lot of our young men don't have the opportunity to really understand the impact of how slavery has affected us and how we reconditioned ourselves. So him showing this to a broader audience, hopefully will be able to have that same impact on them as well. I just muted.
No, it will indeed, for sure. Let's talk more about, it seems like you wrote, directed, shot, edited this film. Is this a part of your process to do all the things? Is that something you want to do moving forward in your films?
No, not really. My main interest is basically to follow in your footsteps and be a cinematographer. But for this project, based on the budget and the access to resources, I kind of stepped up and I really wanted to figure out my role as a filmmaker. And so I really wanted to figure out whether I wanted to be a director or a cinematographer. And so it was just a matter of me figuring out my role and trying everything and seeing what sticks to me as a character. And so I did direct it, but I didn't shoot it. I storyboarded all the shots. I conceptualized all the, everything that I wanted, but I had an amazing camera op to bring everything to life, and he got a second DP credit. And I did edit it as well because a lot of times people don't edit things exactly the way I want it, and so I took that initiative to get the film exactly the way I want it and how I want it represented, because I have the envision in my mind. I can only see that. I can't really articulate it to other people exactly the way I want it. And so that's why I kind of took that initiative and role. And then I also did, the coloring just to experiment. And I feel like I did a pretty decent job on that. But in the future, I really am starting to learn more and more about collaboration. And so I will start to pride myself in working with other creatives and maybe just filling my role as a cinematographer. But for this project, I think it worked out well.
It did. I think I just wanted to just give you some advice from myself. This is someone who works in the fields that, you can begin in one place and end another place. You don't have to be limited to any title. You're an artist, At the end of the day, your title is artist and filmmaker. And I'm hoping that your generation will, that the titles on set won't be as strict, that it'll be more collaborative. But yeah, man, if you can DP for 20 years and then you can direct for the next 20 years and you can, whatever, be a colorist after that if you wanted to, but yeah, you're not limited to any title.
Yeah.
Someone wanted to, I guess I saw a text mentioning the other DP. Is that Paul Lai?
Yeah. Yeah,
just want
that's him.
to shout that guy out. But yeah, man, so I don't know if you want the world to know, but I know the community knows that you're going to NYU in the fall. And congratulations. Full scholarship, I understand, which is huge. What are your goals for being in school? What do you want to learn? How do you want to stretch?
Well, I really want to, I think I already know how to make films. I want to continue growing as a filmmaker and getting those technical skills, but also learning about the different. I watched this interview about colonization and surveillance by Bell Hooks, and she was talking about ways in which to use your camera and ways in which to not use it. And so I really want to get that knowledge about the impact that pointing my camera a certain way, how that impacts people's stories and people's lives. And so really it's just about me soaking information so that I'm more prepared when I step out wherever I go, to just continue making what I want to make. I'm really trying to make a feature film sometime soon. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna try to manifest it. But just getting as much information I can and trying to improve my overall talents and skills and just try to be the best storyteller I can be. And I think Fallon has some thoughts about me at NYU too.
I have thoughts about you at NYU, is this correct?
Yeah, I think you do. What am I going to do at NYU?
Well, thank you for putting me on the spot. My only thoughts about you at NYU is working collaboratively, like you said, and learning everything you can learn about filmmaking and honing in on your craft. Like Shawn said, you have a multitude of different talents that you can experience and express, and you have several mediums that you've told me about that you're interested in. And outside of that, the only thing I've ever told you is just have fun and not to overthink everything. But I don't know what you were hoping for me to say, but the main thing is we know you have the talent, just working collaboratively and staying humble. That's the main thing.
Stay humble. You have to stay humble only inside yourself. You don't have to stay humble to the world, man. Be a king, But no, man, I think we all know that you're going to be an amazing filmmaker. Hopefully one day, I'll be directing something and you'll be shooting it, or vice versa. That'd be nice. That'd be my goal, to see that come 360. Sooner than later. Do we want to open up to questions from the audience, or do we want to continue talking?
Yeah, we can open it up. I'd be interested to see what they have to say. I'm looking at the chat now. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah. I guess we can hold off on that. What does the white car represent? Okay. I think that the white car represents liberation, liberation in the sense that, so my use of color throughout the film, I use white to sort of redefine it. We often associate white with pure or fair or those sort of connotations, but for this film, I wanted to redefine what it means to be white, what it means to be something, to be that color. And so I think the white car is going through the system, those structures, those obstacles, and coming out liberated within the structure of the whiteness. And so he's sort of beating the actor Scott. He's sort of taking advantage of that structure and using their tools and their resources in order to liberate himself. I think that's what the car represents. But also, it's literally just, in a literal sense, it's just the transportation of him from that horror or that whole situation, like evacuating him from that reality. Because I think that the film, like I said in my artist statement, it's a reality to some, and some are only spectators. And so for the main character, Scott, when he gets into that car, it's like him leaving that reality, leaving that space of white domination, but using the white domination in order to escape. So yeah, and yeah, shout out to Scott. He did amazing, and all the actors did amazing.
That was a great answer.
Let's see what. How long did it take? So someone asked, how long did it take to finish the film? Fallon, would you like to speak on that?
How long did it take to finish the film? If they're meaning pre-production, production, post, I think we did like 6 weeks of pre-production and 2 days of shooting. 2 days of shooting. Yeah, so basically, first day we met, I was jazzed, for the lack of a better term. I called a friend of mine, talked to her. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Dr. Annie. And she helped us out. She provided the finances for the film to be produced. And we went into the whole breakdown, everything we needed, recruiting the crew. First AC, Andrea, Paul, who was the second unit DP, Patrick, Olubanga, Everett, Kirkland, sound recordist, Yoonbing Lee, I hope I'm saying your name right. Eric Jones, fantastic. G. Corby, said Andrea, Anthony Mickey. Am I missing someone else? I don't think so, but your siblings that came in. And yeah, we with all the extras. So sorry to get off track. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. But 6 weeks for pre-production, 2 days for production, and then post-production, where it was pretty much, or before coronavirus hit, Gyasi and I would meet up from time to time to get updates. And actually, you wanted to get a lot of other people to edit your film, but everybody was pushing you to edit your own film because only you could see your vision. So once Gyasi got a head start, and I think the shutdown actually gave him some time to be able to focus on it because this was his senior year. Once he got an idea or a vision of what he wanted to do, the ball started rolling. And then we got into him coloring in his film, and then Jamie Duffy did the mixing. So up until, almost a year since we started, which is standard sometimes, but pretty much a year. We shot August 18th and 19th of 2019, and we met in July of 2019. So the post-production probably took the longest.
Yeah. So I see some other.
Can I ask a question? I have a friend, so my friend from Florida, she's watching. She asked, what does he want people to take away after watching this film as far as emotion? So what do you want people to feel as watching this film?
Emotionally, I want people to be moved to either reevaluate the reality in that film and try to decipher what's going on. I don't want them necessarily to be sorrowful have or to be saddened by the predicament of the boys. I just want them to be reflective about that story and what it could mean, and maybe doing some introspection within themselves and also the society that they're in. Um, but yeah, I don't really know if there's any emotional associations that I want people to have. I just want people to take something, if anything, from the film and shift the way that they move in the world now, or have it reevaluate how they move in the world now. If that makes sense. What would you want them to take from it, Fallon? Emotionally or intellectually?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think people have to realize that there is an influence of white consciousness over our lives, even as these young boys. The title itself, Save the Man-Childs, for they shall inherit the earth. There is this idea that we have to be a certain way in order to be safe, or in order to protect ourselves, in order to obtain, we have to be moved by this white consciousness. And once we become aware that this type of lifestyle or mental thinking has been placed upon us, that we can break ourselves free of it. And I think that your film, hopefully for some, especially young men, younger people, they'll be able to hopefully piece that together after hearing you speak about the project and maybe reevaluate how they view themselves or how they think, so that they won't have to be so concerned about this white consciousness that they may or may not be aware of.
Yeah. To expand on that, my mentor and a prison abolitionist, Miss Belfina, she asked the question, what does it mean to leave a white dominated space? And I think it goes hand in hand with what you're talking about. Since we live in a Eurocentric world, our perception of reality and the way we move in the world has been dominated by that aesthetic, that intellect, and those ideas. And so I think like to leave means to reimagine reimagine worlds outside of the one we're in currently, but also find ways to radically rewire your brain in order to not have those Eurocentric values and be brainwashed and indoctrinated by the white consciousness. So it's really about revolutionizing yourself. Miss Christmas, one of my mentors, also talks about that a lot. So like whether it be knowledge based, physically, spiritually, emotionally, finding different ways in order to leave that cloud or like curtain of whiteness, I think, and that can come in many different forms. So if but yeah, I think that once we leave that space, I don't think we can ever truly be ourselves, but we come with a new rebirthing of who we are and what we are as people. And so we're able to be somewhat our authentic selves without that shield, that armor of that was protecting us from the white world. So yeah, I think that also. But yeah, I mean. there's a lot we can talk about.
Seems like I've heard there's a lot of questions in there.
Yeah, I'm looking at them too.
How many more do you want to take? Do you want to give a cap to it, or do you want to just keep going?
Let's see. I'm looking for some. Maybe we can do 2 or 3 more questions. What were some challenges? What were your? I think some challenges in making this film and just for the film in general. For me, I guess it would just be doubt, like doubting the nature and impact of the film. I tend to like overlook the flaws rather than looking at the flaws tend to overshadow the actual film. And so for me, it was a challenge to see that I made a decent piece of work that should be shared with people, and really realize the totality of that like expertise. I think another challenge was editing it. It was really hard to figure out ways in which to make shots and sequences come together in a way that felt natural. I think in the end I was able to accomplish that, but at the start and just putting the film, like all the shots on a track, it was challenging to figure out ways in order to construct the narrative. But I like going back to what you were saying earlier, Baba Shawn, about non-linearity. I think that was something that I really gravitated to because it makes you reimagine and reevaluate the story that you're present in, and try to understand it from different perspectives. So I think that those are a few challenges that I had throughout making this film. But yeah, do you think we had any other challenges, Fallon?
I think for the most part, we did pretty good as far as staying on our timeline. The only thing we had last minute was switching out the lady in red. We had a couple different people in mind for that. And then my friend Christy came through. So thank you, Christy. And the only other thing we had on production day was the extras, making sure your siblings got there. And that was it. I don't really think we fell into any other challenges. I noticed that when you were on set, I tried to make a point that the people there who had seniority over you let you do your job, let you experience what it was like to, run a set, to direct. If you needed me, you called me and I came. But it was very much so like, let him handle it. Let him figure it out so that you could mature and get your feeling and your style. And I think that's important when you're directing because from my experience, directing when there's other people around who've done that position before can make you feel intimidated. So sometimes you need your own space to grow and get your own feels. But aside from that, I think you did a great job, and I don't really think that there were that many challenges or roadblocks that we hit during the production of this project.
Yeah, I agree.
We had a question come in from Baba Denzel about the score.
Okay.
The music. I'd like to hear. He'd like to hear something about that. We'd like to hear something about that.
So the music, originally, one of the actors in my film, my brother Ola, he was originally supposed to do the score, but unfortunately, some technical difficulties didn't allow it. But I reached out to again Bashi Rose, and he's a drummer, and he's a filmmaker as well. He's doing some amazing stuff, but he has a collective called Conjure Collective. So he and a local group of musicians worked on the score. Conjure Collective worked with another group called Primitive Tongues, which is local to Baltimore, and so they were able to come up. They used some pre-made music, but they reformatted it and refined it in order to cater it to my film, and I think it turned out really good. It really it pushed the film to the more the experimental realm, which I'm really interested in. It wasn't necessarily narrative based, because a lot of people were expecting like suspenseful music, but I think that this music gave it another feel and another perspective on engaging with the story. So yeah, I'm really grateful that they were able to produce something amazing to add to the production value of the film.
Can I piggyback off of that and ask you why it was important for you to have that a jazzy kind of feel reminiscent of Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly?
Well, not to mention that jazz is one of my favorite genres, but um, a lot of the jazz musicians, they're able to create a really strong resonance with sound and visuals. Like Sun Ra comes to mind, and a lot of the music sounded similar to, or at least reminded me of Sun Ra's works. And with jazz, you're able to. There's a certain way that you can construct the music. It's like really free form, and you can hear that in the score. It was kind of like impromptu, and they were just going off of their instinct and their natural talents in order to produce something. And that's what I liked about it. It wasn't perfect. A lot of times, like we see films and the score like is perfect for the visuals, and it just feels. It doesn't. I'm really interested in things that like either contradict or conflict with one another, and so I think that that music, the tone, and the way that it was presented, brought out some new ideas and a new character about the film and the way that the film was presented. But yeah,
It almost sounded to me. It almost sounded like an audio version of like cognitive dissonance. It was like this weird which made you feel sort of the existential weight of the film.
Yeah.
In a way, because it's like this confusing.
Yeah.
I thought the score was perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I can see that because at some points the music sort of contradicts the visuals, and from that you really start to look at the visuals in a new way or look at the music in a new way because those two aren't necessarily cohesive with one another, or like uniting with one another. They're like disassociating, and so it was like I can think of the one scene when the boys are being dragged. The music is like really upbeat and it's really chaotic, and it's almost too chaotic for that scene, but it works, you know. And so I think that that music, that score was really, it was beautifully done, and it fit that sort of notion of like things conflicting one another and things working against one another, which is present throughout the entirety of the film.
I think it's such a good opportunity for you to be able to work with composers, and it's all those choices are so, to be on top of all those choices as a storyteller and be able to do that now and understand the whole process is really amazing. You want to do 2 more questions?
Yeah, that's fine. Let me see. Do you feel? So one question I thought was really interesting is from Faith. I'll let you answer this, Fallon. Do you feel your way, well, I'll answer it too, but I'll let you answer first. Do you feel your way of conceptualizing white violence in a metaphorical sense and a storytelling sense is influenced by folklore? I'll let you answer it first.
Well, I think considering that it's your vision and it's your story, maybe you should answer it first, and then I'll piggyback off of that.
I that's a hard question. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I think so folklore is sort of like traditions and beliefs, and I think that my belief system and the way that I see white violence, as you stated, I think that comes about in the film. Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question. I'm gonna have to think on that more.
Okay, repeat the question.
Do you feel your way of conceptualizing white violence in a metaphorical sense and storytelling is influenced by folklore?
Well, based off of what your original thought process is, I don't know if it was.
It wasn't necessarily. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, it's not influenced, so I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't think. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
You can go.
Okay, I don't think it was based off of folklore as opposed to what you directly experienced. One of the things you told me that really resonated with me was that the woman in red actually symbolized redlining in a way, and how she symbolized a different life that these boys would experience from fighting each other. Like there's this white consciousness inciting violence, yes, among these black boys, among these black bodies, where they end up fighting each other in order to cross this proverbial red line. I think that's what you and I spoke about initially. And but as far as folklore, I'm not sure. You, like I said, you would have to explain that better, but I don't think so. But you can definitely see that there's an influence with the white figures with guns taking their bodies, snatching them from their neighborhood, snatching them from their livelihood, and putting them in a circle where they're forced to, or like as you said before, mandated to fight one another in order to receive this freedom, this life outside of what they had known, the lining up of those people's bodies one by one, so that they could see that they're fighting for their family. Even the fact that it was in a football field, a lot of football players, they remove themselves from the type of lifestyles they may be a part of in order to seek freedom by using their bodies to combat other football players, which ultimately ends up deteriorating. There's so many symbolism, so much symbolism in this project, and I think that is what your foundation is built on more than folklore. But again, your vision, your story, only you can truly speak about it.
Yeah, I've had more time to think about it. I think that now, in some sense, my rites of passage experience was a folklore. Maybe not in terms of traditional, like literature or passed down knowledge, but a folklore of my ancestry and who I am as a person. So a lot of the film was influenced by. I had two rites of passage experiences, one in Baltimore, one in DC. And if you're not familiar with that, it's basically the process of initiating young men into their manhood. And so for me, the film was about an Americanized rites of passage, sort of shaping Black youth into what the white consciousness views as Black manhood. Um, but in terms of white violence, I don't think there was necessarily any direct influence on the way that that was perceived in the film. But I did pull some things from Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. There was one scene in the book called the Battle Royale scene, which these boys have basically a battle of the fisticuffs, and they're surrounded by white capitalists who pay to have them fight each other in order to receive a reward. And so that indirectly and also directly inspired and influenced the film. But I wouldn't necessarily say that that had an effect on the way that on the metaphorical like significance of white violence. But yeah, that's it. I'll get back to you with a more in-depth response.
That was a good response, though. That was you got into it. We have one more question.
All right.
That we'll take.
So I guess we can talk about the aspect ratio, since I keep seeing a lot about that. Well, I guess for me as an editor, the differences and between the aspect ratios was about the 16:9 was more of like a pervasive understanding of the reality that the boys are in. So when they fight each other, you're kind of seeing that full picture, that full space, that full system. And then in the 4:3, you're not necessarily a part of that reality. It's something that you're watching the boys experience, but I feel like the 16:9 is more personal. It's something that, you know, us as the viewer can relate to and can observe, because we often see fight scenes or people going against one another. But also it was just an aesthetic choice. I thought that it looked and it fit the feel I was going for in the film. Also the same thing with the black and white and the color. That was pretty much an aesthetic choice, and I thought it worked well. But also, I mean, you could interpret it as being a like shift in those, in like the climax and those important scenes and those important moments, and contrasting the color and the black and white. But yeah, I don't know, just.
Do you want to, just for people that don't know, want to explain what an aspect ratio is?
Oh yeah. For people that don't know, the aspect ratio is basically the black bars on the video. So 16:9 usually doesn't have any black bars. It shows the full screen, but 4:3 was when the two black bars were on the side. And yeah, depending on what camera you're using, your camera will shoot different aspect ratios. So yeah.
Seems like we can come to an end if you guys want to. I know that I'm starving and ready for dinner. But I thought this is great, man. I mean, I hope we do this again soon. You know, hope your next film will have a similar format. I think it's a great idea to release films online this way and to have conversations about it and have your community come and watch it. I know you would have preferred it to be live, but this is a great opportunity during this time to at least interface with your community in some form or fashion and get them a chance to sort of, you know, be with you in your film. So thank you for having me. It was an honor for you to call me and ask me to do this. I'm really grateful. And good to meet you, Fallon. And And I guess I'll see you guys. I'll see you, Gyasi, soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries.
Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. I'm logging off.
All right. Family, any last thoughts?
I just want to say I've had the best time working with you. You and I have built a bond over the last year or so. I'm incredibly proud of you. Thank you to everybody who's worked on the project, helping this young man's vision come to light. I'm excited for all of his future endeavors. There's so many other things that I can say, but I'll text you at 12 o'clock. We're always doing that. So you text me all the time, but you don't have to make that face. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gyasi. This is fantastic. Again, thank you for letting me be a part of it. I'm grateful to be a part of your village now. So congrats.
I'm going to echo everything you said. I really appreciate you as well. I think that if I didn't have you in my network, the film wouldn't have turned out nearly as good as it was. And so I appreciate you for that. A fake tear, come on. And yeah, definitely. And even you bringing all the amazing crew members like Paul and Andrea and G and Jamie and everyone else, that was all you. So you really brought this to life. And because it was hard just thinking of the film and having those limitations. But when I met you, the sky was open and my horizons were expanded because I knew that I could make it, and at least make it in a way that I would be proud of. And so that's all thanks to you and praise to you. And appreciate everyone else who was a part of the project, all the actors that came out and took time out their day to help me. Yeah. And also Black Sauce Kitchen for the catering, Baba Damien. And Miss Christmas, Miss Delphina, Walter, Aaron, anybody that gave me great feedback and thoughts about the film. I appreciate you all. This is for you. Yeah, so 2020 has been a pretty interesting year. A lot of setbacks, but also a lot of achievements and praises. So this was really for you guys, for supporting me and helping me in my journey thus far. So thank you so much to everyone that came out. Appreciate it. All right. I think that's it. I'll see you later. Thank you guys for coming.